Andorra, officially the Principality of Andorra, also called the Principality of the Valleys of Andorra, is a landlocked microstate in southwestern Europe, located in the eastern Pyrenees mountains and bordered by Spain and France. It is the sixth smallest nation in Europe, having an area of 468 km² and an estimated population of 85,000 in 2012. Its capital, Andorra la Vella, is the highest capital city in Europe, at an elevation of 1,023 meters above sea level. The official language is Catalan, although Spanish, Portuguese, and French are also commonly spoken. Created under a charter in AD 988, the present principality was formed in AD 1278. It is known as a principality as it is a monarchy headed by two co-princes, the Spanish Roman Catholic Bishop of Urgell and the President of France. Andorra is a prosperous country mainly because of its tourism industry, which services an estimated 10.2 million visitors annually, and because of his status as a tax haven, although it is in the process of reforming its tax regime. It is not a member of the European Union, but the euro is the de facto currency. It has been a member of the United Nations since 1993. The people of Andorra have the third highest human life expectancy at birth in the world, euro 84 years. History. Tradition holds that Charles the Great granted a charter to the Andorran people in return for fighting against the Moors. Overlordship of the territory was by the Count of Urgell and eventually by the Bishop of the Diocese of Urgell. In 988, Borrell II, Count of Urgell, gave the Andorran valleys to the Diocese of Urgell in exchange for land in ænʻdɔrə. Since then the Bishop of Urgell, based in Urgell, has owned Andorra. Before 1095, Andorra did not have any type of military protection, and the Bishop of Urgell, who knew that the Count of Urgell wanted to reclaim the Andorran valleys, asked for help and protection from the Lord of Caboet. In 1095, the Lord of Caboet and the Bishop of Urgell signed under oath a declaration of their co-sovereignty over Andorra. Arnalda, daughter of Arnau of Caboet, married the Viscount of Castellbisqued and both became Viscounts of Castellbisqued and ænʻdɔrə. Years later their daughter, Ermessenda, married Roger Bernat II, the French Count of Foix. They became Roger Bernat II and Ermessenda I, Counts of Foix, Viscounts of Castellbisqued and ænʻdɔrə, and co-sovereigns of Andorra. In the 11th century, a dispute arose between the Bishop of Urgell and the Count of Foix. The conflict was resolved in 1278 with the mediation of Aragon by the signing of the first para-copyright age, which provided that Andorra's sovereignty be shared between the Count of Foix and the Bishop of Urgell, in Catalonia. This gave the principality its territory and political form. Over the years, the co-title to Andorra passed to the kings of Navarre. After Henry of Navarre became King Henry IV of France, he issued an edict in 1607 that established the head of the French state and the Bishop of Urgell as co-princes of Andorra. In 1812 euro 13, the First French Empire annexed Catalonia and divided it in 4 copyright departments, with Andorra being made part of the district of Brigade. 20th century. Andorra declared war on Imperial Germany during World War I, but did not actually take part in the fighting. It remained in an official state of belligerency until 1939, as it was not included in the Treaty of Versailles. In 1933, France occupied Andorra as a result of social unrest before elections. On July 12, 1934, adventurer Boris Kossarov issued a proclamation in Urgell, declaring himself Boris I, King of Andorra, simultaneously declaring war on the Bishop of Urgell. He was arrested by Spanish authorities on July 20 and ultimately expelled from Spain. From 1936 to 1940, a French detachment was garrisoned in Andorra to prevent influences of the Spanish Civil War and Francoist Spain. Francoist troops reached the Andorran border in the later stages of the war. During World War II, Andorra remained neutral and was an important smuggling route between Vichy France and Spain. Given its relative isolation, Andorra has existed outside the mainstream of European history, with few ties to countries other than France, Spain and Portugal. In recent times, however, Its thriving tourist industry along with developments in transport and communications have removed the country from its isolation. Its political system was modernized in 1993, when it became a member of the United Nations and the Council of Europe. Politics. Andorra is a parliamentary co-principality with the President of France and the Bishop of Urgell, as co-princes. This peculiarity makes the President of France, in his capacity as Prince of Andorra, an elected reigning monarch, although he is not elected by a popular vote of the Andorran people. The politics of Andorra take place in a framework of a parliamentary representative democracy, whereby the head of government is the chief executive, and of a pluriform multi-party system. The current head of government is Antoni Mata of the Democrats for Andorra. Executive power is exercised by the government. Legislative power is vested in both government and parliament. The Parliament of Andorra is known as the General Council. The General Council consists of between 28 and 42 councillors, as the members of the legislative branch are called. The councillors serve for 4-year terms and elections are held between the 30th and 40th days following the dissolution of the previous council. The councillors can be elected on 2 equal constituencies. Half are elected an equal number from each of the 7 administrative parishes and the other half of the councillors are elected from a single national constituency. 15 days after the election, the councillors hold their inauguration. During this session, the Syndic General, who is the head of the General Council, and the Subsyndic General, his assistant, are elected. 8 days later, the council convenes once more. During this session the head of government is chosen from among the councillors. Candidates for the nomination can be proposed by a minimum of 1/5 of the councillors. The council then elects the candidate with the absolute majority of votes to be head of government. The Syndic General then notifies the co-princes who in turn appoint the elected candidate as the head of government of Andorra. The General Council is also responsible for proposing and passing laws. Bills may be presented to the council as private members' bills by 3 of the local parish councils jointly or by at least 1/10 of the citizens of Andorra. The council also approves the annual budget of the Principality. The government must submit the proposed budget for parliamentary approval at least 2 months before the previous budget expires. If the budget is not approved by the first day of the next year, the previous budget is extended until a new one is approved. Once any bill is approved, the Syndic General is responsible for presenting it to the co-princes so that they may sign and enact it. If the head of government is not satisfied with the council, he may request that the co-princes dissolve the council and order new elections. In turn, the councillors have the power to remove the head of government from office. After a motion of censure is approved by at least 1/5 of the councillors, the council will vote and if it receives the absolute majority of votes, the head of government is removed. Law and criminal justice. The judiciary is composed of the Magistrates' Court, the Criminal Law Court, the High Court of Andorra, and the Constitutional Court. The High Court of Justice is composed of 5 judges, 1 appointed by the head of government, 1 each by the co-princes, 1 by the Syndic General, and 1 by the judges and magistrates. It is presided over by the member appointed by the Syndic General and the judges hold office for 6-year terms. The magistrates and judges are appointed by the High Court, and so is the President of the Criminal Law Court. The High Court also appoints members of the Office of the Attorney General. The Constitutional Court is responsible for interpreting the Constitution and reviewing all appeals of unconstitutionality against laws and treaties. It is composed of 4 judges, 1 appointed by each of the co-princes and 2 by the General Council. They serve 8-year terms. The court is presided over by one of the judges on a 2-year rotation so that each judge at one point will be the leader of the court. Foreign relations, defense, and security. Andorra does not have its own armed forces, although there is a small ceremonial army. Responsibility for defending the nation rests primarily with France and Spain. However, in case of emergencies or natural disasters, the somitent is called and all able-bodied men between 21 and 60 of Andorran nationality must serve. This is why all Andorrans, and especially the head of each house should, by law, keep a rifle, even though the law also states that the police will offer a firearm in case of need. Andorra is a full member of the United Nations, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, and has a special agreement with the European Union. Military: Andorra has a small army, which has historically been raised or reconstituted at various dates, but has never in modern times amounted to a standing army. The basic principle of Andorran defense is that all able-bodied men are available to fight if called upon by the sounding of the somitant. Being a landlocked country, Andorra has no navy. In the modern era, the army has consisted of a very small body of volunteers willing to undertake ceremonial duties. Uniforms were handed down from generation to generation within families and communities. Despite not being involved in any fighting, Andorra was technically the longest combatant in the First World War, as the country was left out of the Versailles Peace Conference, and technically remained at war with Germany from 1914 until 1939. The army's role in internal security was largely taken over by the formation of the Police Corps of Andorra in 1931. Brief civil disorder associated with the elections of 1933 led to assistance being sought from the French National Gendarmerie, with a detachment resident in Andorra for 2 months under the command of Reina copyright Jules Ballard. The Andorran army was reformed in the following year, with 11 soldiers appointed to supervisory roles. The force consisted of 6 corporals, 1 for each parish, plus 4 junior staff officers to coordinate action, and a commander with the rank of major. It was the responsibility of the 6 corporals, each in his own parish, to be able to raise a fighting force from among the able-bodied men of the parish. Today a small, 12-man ceremonial unit remains the only permanent section of the Andorran army, but all able-bodied men remain technically available for military service, with a requirement for each family to have access to a firearm. The army has not fought for more than 700 years, and its main responsibility is to present the flag of Andorra at official ceremonial functions. According to Mark Fauna copyright Mona copyright, Andorra's military budget is strictly from voluntary donations, and the availability of full-time voluntaries. The myth that all members of the Andorran army are ranked as officers is popularly maintained in many works of reference. In reality, all those serving in the permanent ceremonial reserve hold ranks as officers, or non-commissioned officers, because the other ranks are considered to be the rest of the able-bodied male population, who may still be called upon by the somitant to serve, although such a call has not been made in modern times. GIPA, the Grup d'Intervenció Cubed Policia d'Andorra, is a small special forces unit trained in counter-terrorism and hostage recovery tasks. Although it is the closest in style to an active military force, it is part of the police corps, and not the army. As terrorist and hostage situations are a rare threat to the nation, the GIPA is commonly assigned to prisoner escort duties, and at other times to routine policing. Police Corps. Andorra maintains a small, but modern and well-equipped internal police force with around 240 police officers, supported by civilian assistance. The principal services supplied by the Corps are uniformed community policing, criminal detection, border control, and traffic policing. There are also small specialist units including police dogs, mountain rescue, and bomb disposal. Fire Brigade. The Andorran Fire Brigade, with headquarters at Santa Coloma, operates from 4 modern fire stations, and is a staff of around 120 firefighters. The service is equipped with 16 heavy appliances, 4 light support vehicles, and 4 ambulances. Historically, the families of the 6 ancient parishes of Andorra maintained local arrangements to assist each other in fighting fires. The first fire pump purchased by the government was acquired in 1943. The serious fires in parts of the Principality in December 1959 led to calls for a permanent fire service, and the Andorran Fire Brigade was formed on April 21, 1961. The fire service maintains full-time cover with 5 fire crews on duty at any time, a 2 at the brigade's headquarters in Santa Coloma, and 1 crew at each of the other 3 fire stations. Geography. Parishes. Andorra consists of 7 parishes: Andorra la Vella, Canillo, Encamp, Escorts and Gordoni, La Massana, Ordino, Sant Julià de la Squadria. Physical geography. Due to its location in the eastern Pyrenees mountain range, Andorra consists predominantly of rugged mountains, the highest being the Coma Pedrosa at 2,942 meters, and the average elevation of Andorra is 1,996 meters. These are dissected by three narrow valleys in a Y shape that combine into one as the main stream, the Gran Valira River, leaves the country for Spain. Andorra's land area is 468 km². Phytogeographically, Andorra belongs to the Atlantic European province of the Circumboreal region within the Boreal Kingdom. According to the WWF, the territory of Andorra belongs to the ecoregion of Pyrenees conifer and mixed forests. Climate: Andorra has an alpine climate and continental climate. Its higher elevation means there is, on average, more snow in winter, lower humidity, and it is slightly cooler in summer. There are, on average, 300 days per year of sunshine. Economy: tourism, the mainstay of Andorra's tiny, well-to-do economy, accounts for roughly 80% of GDP. An estimated 10.2 million tourists visit annually, attracted by Andorra's duty-free status and by its summer and winter resorts. Andorra's relative advantage has recently eroded as the economies of adjoining France and Spain have been opened up, providing broader availability of goods and lower tariffs. The banking sector, with its tax haven status, also contributes substantially to the economy. Agricultural production is limited. Only 2% of the land is arable, and most food has to be imported. Some tobacco is grown locally. The principal livestock activity is domestic sheep raising. Manufacturing output consists mainly of cigarettes, cigars, and furniture. Andorra's natural resources include hydroelectric power, mineral water, timber, iron ore, and lead. Andorra is not a member of the European Union, but enjoys a special relationship with it, such as being treated as an EU member for trade in manufactured goods and as a non-EU member for agricultural products. Andorra lacked a currency of its own and used both the French franc and the Spanish peseta in banking transactions until December 31, 1999, when both currencies were replaced by the EU's single currency, the euro. Coins and notes of both the franc and the peseta remained legal tender in Andorra until December 31, 2002. Andorra negotiated to issue its own euro coins, beginning in 2014. Andorra has traditionally had one of the world's lowest unemployment rates. In 2009, it stood at 2.9%. Andorra has long benefited from its status as a tax haven, with revenues raised exclusively through import tariffs. However, during the European sovereign debt crisis of the 21st century, its tourist economy suffered a decline, partly caused by a drop in the prices of goods in Spain, which undercut Andorran duty-free shopping. This led to a growth in unemployment. On January 1, 2012, a business tax of 10% was introduced, followed by a sales tax of 2% a year later, which raised just over €14 million in its first quarter. On May 31, 2013, it was announced that Andorra intended to legislate for the introduction of income tax by the end of June, against a background of increasing dissatisfaction with the existence of tax havens among EU members. The announcement was made following a meeting in Paris between the head of government Anthony Marti and the French President and Prince of Andorra, Frans Section wa Holland. Holland welcomed the move as part of a process of Andorra bringing its taxation in line with international standards. Demography. Population. The population of Andorra is estimated to be 85,082. The population has grown from 5,000 in 1900. Andorran nationals form a plurality, but not a majority, in the country. Other nationalities include Spaniards, Portuguese, French, Britons and Italians. Two-thirds of the population is made up of citizens without Andorran nationality, who do not have the right to vote in communal elections. Moreover, they are not allowed to be elected as president or to own more than 33% of the capital stock of a privately held company. Languages. The historic and official language is Catalan, a Romance language. The Andorran government encourages the use of Catalan. It funds a commission for Catalan toponymy in Andorra, and provides free Catalan classes to assist immigrants. Andorran television and radio stations use Catalan. Because of immigration, historical links, and close geographic proximity, Spanish, Portuguese and French are also commonly spoken. Most Andorran residents can speak one or more of these, in addition to Catalan. English is less commonly spoken among the general population, though it is understood to varying degrees in the major tourist resorts. Andorra is one of only 4 European countries that have never signed the Council of Europe Framework Convention on National Minorities. According to the Observatory Social d'Andorra, the linguistic usage in Andorra are as follows: religion. The population of Andorra is predominantly Roman Catholic. Their patron saint is Our Lady of Meritiel. Though it is not an official state religion, the Constitution acknowledges a special relationship with the Catholic Church, offering some special privileges to that group. Other Christian denominations include the Anglican Church, the Reunification Church, the New Apostolic Church, and Jehovah's Witnesses. The Muslim community is primarily made up of North African immigrants. There is a small community of Hindus and Baha'is. Roughly 100 Jews live in Andorra. Statistics. Largest cities. Education. Schools. Children between the ages of 6 and 16 are required by law to have full-time education. Education up to secondary level is provided free of charge by the government. There are 3 systems of schools: Euro-Andorran, French and Spanish Euro, which use Catalan, French and Spanish, respectively, as the main language of instruction. Parents may choose which system their children attend. All schools are built and maintained by Andorran authorities, but teachers in the French and Spanish schools are paid for the most part by France and Spain. About 50% of Andorran children attend the French primary schools, and the rest attend Spanish or Andorran schools. University of Andorra. The Universitat d'Andorra is the state public university and is the only university in Andorra. It was established in 1997. The university provides first-level degrees in nursing, computer science, business administration, and educational sciences, in addition to higher professional education courses. The only 2 graduate schools in Andorra are the Nursing School and the School of Computer Science, the latter having a PhD program. Virtual Studies Center. The geographical complexity of the country as well as the small number of students prevents the University of Andorra from developing a full academic program, and it serves principally as a center for virtual studies, connected to Spanish and French universities. The Virtual Studies Center at the university runs in the region of 20 degrees at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels in fields including tourism, law, Catalan philology, humanities, psychology, political sciences, audio-visual communication, telecommunications engineering, and East Asia studies. The center also runs various postgraduate programs and continuing education courses for professionals. Healthcare. Healthcare in Andorra is provided to all employed persons and their families by the government-run Social Security System, CAS, which is funded by employer and employee contributions in respect of salaries. The cost of healthcare is covered by CAS at rates of 75% for outpatient expenses such as medicines and hospital visits, 90% for hospitalization, and 100% for work-related accidents. The remainder of the costs may be covered by private health insurance. Other residents and tourists require full private health insurance. The main hospital, Meritiel, is in Escorts-en-Gordony. There are also 12 primary healthcare centers in various locations around the Principality. Transport. Until the 20th century, Andorra had very limited transport links to the outside world, and development of the country was affected by its physical isolation. Even now, the nearest major airports at Toulouse and Barcelona are both 3 hours' drive from Andorra. Andorra has a road network of 279 km, of which 76 km is unpaved. The 2 main roads out of Andorra la Vella are the CG1 to the Spanish border, and the CG2 to the French border via the Envalira tunnel near El Par de la Casa. Bus services cover all metropolitan areas and many rural communities, with services on most major routes running half-hourly or more frequently during peak travel times. There are frequent long-distance bus services from Andorra to Barcelona and Toulouse. Bus services are mostly run by private companies, but some local ones are operated by the government. There are no railways, ports, or airports for fixed-wing aircraft in Andorra. There are, however, heliports in La Massana, Arinsal and Escorts and Gordony with commercial helicopter services. Nearby airports are located in Barcelona, Toulouse, Perpignan, Reus, and Girona. The closest public airport is Perpignan, Rivers Alts Airport, which is 160 km away and has short-haul services to several destinations in the United Kingdom and France. Valls of Urgell Airport, a small airfield 12 km north of Spain, near to Andorra, currently used only by private aeroplanes, is being studied as a possible future airport for public aviation services. The nearest railway station is l'Hospitalet Pras Landlocked 10 km east of Andorra, which is on the 1435 on-gauge line from Later de Carol, southeast of Andorra, to Toulouse and on to Paris by the French high-speed trains. This line is operated by the SNCF. Later de Carol has a scenic 1,000-meter gauge train line to Villefranche to Conflent, as well as the SNCF's 1435 on-gauge line connecting to Perpignan, and the RENFE's 1668 on-gauge line to Barcelona. Media and telecommunications. In Andorra, mobile and fixed telephone and internet services are operated exclusively by the Andorra National Telecommunications Company, SOM, also known as Servei de Telecommunicacions d'Andorra. The same company also manages the technical infrastructure for national broadcasting of digital television and radio. By the end of 2010, it is planned that every home in the country will have fiber to the home for internet access at a minimum speed of 100 Mbps. There is only one Andorran television station, Radio y Televisió Cube d'Andorra. Radio Nacional d'Andorra unregistered trademark. Andorra operates two radio stations, Radio Andorra and Andorra Màrsica. There are three national newspapers, Diari d'Andorra, El Periòdic d'Andorra, and Bon Dia, as well as several local newspapers. Culture. The official and historic language is Catalan. Thus the culture is Catalan, with its own specificity. Andorra is home to folk dances like the Principat and Monarchy, which survive in Sant Julià de la Squadria especially. Andorran folk music has similarities to the music of its neighbours, but is especially Catalan in character, especially in the presence of dances such as the sardana. Other Andorran folk dances include Principat in Andorra la Vella and St. Anne's dance in Escorts and Gordony. Andorra's national holidays are Lady of Meritiel Day, September 8. American folk artist Malvina Reynolds, intrigued by its defense budget of $4.90, wrote a song Andorra. Pete Seeger added verses, and sang Andorra on his 1962 album The Bitter and the Sweet. Sports. Andorra is famous for the practice of winter sports. Popular sports played in Andorra include football, rugby union, basketball and roller hockey. In roller hockey, Andorra usually plays in CERH Euro Cup and in FIR's Roller Hockey World Cup. In 2011, Andorra was the host country to the 2011 European League Final 8. The country is represented in association football by the Andorra national football team. However, the team has had little success internationally because of Andorra's small population. Football is ruled in Andorra by the Andorran Football Federation, founded in 1994. It organizes the national competitions of association football and futsal. FC Andorra, a club based in Andorra la Vella founded in 1942, compete in the Spanish Football League system. Rugby is a traditional sport in Andorra, mainly influenced by the popularity in southern France. The Andorra national rugby union team, nicknamed Els Isards, has impressed on the international stage in rugby union and rugby sevens. VPC Andorra 15 is a rugby team based in Andorra la Vella actually playing in the French Championship. Basketball popularity has increased in the country since the 1990s when the Andorran team BC Andorra played in the top league of Spain. After 18 years the club returned to the top league in 2014. Other sports practiced in Andorra include cycling, volleyball, judo, Australian football, handball, swimming, gymnastics, tennis and motorsports. In 2012, Andorra raised its first national cricket team and played a home match against the Dutch Fellowship of Fairly Odd Places Cricket Club, the first match played in the history of Andorra at an altitude of 1,300 meters. Andorra first participated at the Olympic Games in 1976. The country have also appeared in every Winter Olympic Games since 1976. Andorra compete in the Games of the Small States of Europe, being twice the host country in 1991 and 2005. See also: Index of Andorra. Related articles, Outline of Andorra, Andorra Euro-European Union relations, Bibliography of Andorra, European microstates, List of Andorrans, List of co-princes of Andorra, Lists of ecoregions by country, Recognition of same-sex unions in Andorra, Scouts d'Andorra, Tourism in Andorra, References. External links, works related to Andorra portal at Wikisource, Governed Andorra Euro official governmental site, Andorra entry at the World Factbook, portals to the world from the United States Library of Congress, Andorra from UCB Libraries GovPubs, Andorra at DMOZ, Andorra from the BBC News, History of Andorra, primary documents from Eurodocs. A New Path for Andorra Euro slideshow by the New York Times, geographic data related to Andorra at OpenStreetMap, Wikimedia Atlas of Andorra.